Hey everybody, Epic Eddie here, and we're ready for another Real Talk Tuesday. We're talking about today confidence, how to get it, how to keep it, and what does a ridiculous flying squirrel suit onesie have to do with it, with a little, sexy going on apparently. I don't know why that's all out, but it is. We'll find out in a bit. But before we get started, if you get anything from this video, make sure that you hit that like button at the end. You guys sharing this and liking this is what keeps me going and allows me to do more stuff. If you have not, make sure you hit subscribe so I can do this more often and hopefully be able to bring you guys better quality and good content. So appreciate you guys for the support already. You guys have been super great. I've been seeing a lot of shares and a lot of fun stuff. Let me get myself together here. So, we can't get started with a Real Talk Tuesday until we get some tequila. It's tequila time. So I'm going to be getting some new tequilas in the next few weeks, but I'm going back to one, again, my favorite so far, and that's Cincoro. Again, if you have not tried this before, it's a bit more of an expensive bottle. I'll tell you, this one will run you about $100, but it is the best tequila so far that I've had. It is a more high-end tequila, but it's really good, man. Super smooth, got a little sweetness to it. So we're going to pop this off. Woo! And let's pour it. Oh, yeah. Ugh. All right, got it. Now it is tequila time. It's so smooth, man. It's so smooth. It's ridiculous. Shout out to MJ, not Jackson, Jordan. Really, really good tequila, man. This is good stuff. All right. So for the subject of today, confidence and what we're doing with it. This was one that was sent to me in my Facebook Messenger, actually, or my Facebook page. Again, if you haven't checked that out and followed it, make sure you shoot that a like. But yeah, man, this was such a good one. I decided to do an episode of it. So I actually do get this question quite a bit because I do come off very confident. Again, the part of the reason why I get away with wearing this ridiculous stuff. But there's so many layers to it. And so I wanted to talk about this one because I'm sure a lot of people deal with those kind of things. That being said, I want to give you guys 5 good tips on confidence, how to keep it, how to get it, and so on. So the very first one for me is learning who you are. Part of the reason people aren't as confident is because of the insecurities. Now, we all get insecurities, and that's fine, but you can limit those by kind of getting to know who you are as a person and being comfortable in that. A lot of times people are going to judge you. That's what the world is. It's going to happen. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're the greatest person in the world, people are going to judge. And no matter what it is, even if it's something stupid or small or insignificant to you, people are going to judge that. So you need to know who you are as a person. And sometimes it might take time. You may have never sat down and actually looked at it and said, you know what? Who am I? What are my goals? What are my dreams? What am I shooting for? What am I working toward? And that might be something you need to do. That is a good start to really start to get an idea of who you are as a person. Sit down and write about who you are as a person. Write down your goals. Write down your accomplishments. Write down your dreams, write down your pros, your cons. I sometimes like to look at what my strengths and my weaknesses are. Now, I've done this for over many years, and so I'm kind of aware myself. And I think being self-aware is really that key. Because, you're going to know your strengths. And so when you start to look at who you are as a person and the strengths that you have, that makes it easier to become a confident person. Because sometimes you really need to sit down and look at it and write it down and see it in that form so that okay, you know what? I am a good person. I do care about people. I do put my best foot forward. Make sure that you see those good things about yourself so that you can start to really let it be ingrained inside you. Now, that being said, you also need to be aware of your weaknesses. And this is number 2. And the reason you want to be aware of your weaknesses is not to beat yourself down, but it's to work on those things. When you begin to work on those things, it makes it a lot easier to be able to feel better about yourself. For example, if you haven't seen my episode on body issues, definitely check that one out. But, I gained a lot of weight over the years because of just my bad relationship with food and depression. And this year, I got the biggest I'd ever been in my life, 275 pounds, which is not fun to talk about. It's embarrassing, but it is what it is. Now, that being said, in the past about 2.5 weeks or so, I've been working really hard to start to change that about myself. Not for anybody else, not to please anyone. I did that for me. Obviously, one of the big reasons is just to be healthier and happier. But another reason is just to feel more confident. In this time, I've already lost about 15 pounds and I've been working my ass off to be able to do that. And I'm proud of myself for that. But I can already notice an increase in confidence because I'm working on the things that I knew were weighing me down. So if you can acknowledge your weaknesses, then you can start to work on those. Now, there are some things that may be what you consider weaknesses and things that you can't change. That being said, maybe they're not necessarily weaknesses. You just have to look at them in a different scope. And so sometimes it's just accepting the things we can't do. Guess what? I'd love to be 6'2" and a football player or a basketball player. But guess what? I'm 5'8", not happening, son. So that's something I have to accept. Now, do I see that as a downfall? No, not at all, man. My personality is 6'2", so I think I'm going to be okay. So that's the thing, it's just accepting your limitations or the things that you can or cannot do, or seeing if you can push past those limitations and be better. But you can't get to that point if you don't acknowledge what those things might be. Now, my third thing is sometimes you just got to fake it till you make it. And honestly, I mean, it sounds kind of cliche, but the reality is you just got to go for it, man. I mean, sometimes you're not going to feel confident. There's not every day that I feel confident. I have my own faults and stuff, and some days are better than others. Sometimes I walk around like I own the whole world, and then there's other days where I feel like I'm just not worth it to anybody. But the reality is sometimes you just got to push yourself to kind of fake it until it feels right. Confidence is really just all up here. It's all mental. And so really, sometimes you just need to go in a day, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to be the best person I can be. Or I'm just going to pretend like everybody loves me. I'm going to pretend like I'm the shit. I'm going to pretend like all girls want me and they're fortunate enough to have me. I'm going to pretend like I'm the best employee in the land and they're good to have me. Having that mentality will kind of help push you through those moments when you're not feeling confident. And eventually you'll kind of see that when you are starting to exude this confidence, even if mentally you're feeling like it's not really you're not really feeling like that, but you're just kind of pretending to be. A lot of times when you start to exude that kind of energy, people will see that and they'll react to you accordingly. A lot of times you'll wind up seeing that people will treat you differently when you're actually confident. It's funny because I was reading this thing and I don't suggest you try this, okay? But I was reading about these robbers who were going to stores and they were walking in with like work vests and hats and a ladder, and they would just walk into places and they would say, hey, we're here to fix this TV. And the people would be like, okay. They take the ladder, they go up to the TV, they check it out and be like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to fix this here. We're gonna have to take it back to the store, so we'll be back next week. Actually, we should be able to fix it this evening and we'll be back later tomorrow. And they're like, okay. And so they undo the TV and they take it down and they leave. All of a sudden a manager comes in and is like, where's that TV? They're like, the people came in to come fix it. And sometimes the manager would the same way. Oh, okay, I guess corporate did something. Or the manager would be like, I never approved any of that. And so they just got away with stealing the TV coming in because they came in confident. There's also some pranksters. Again, don't recommend this, but that they would try to see if they could get into like Disney and things like that, but just coming in confident. Yep, we're here to fix this. Yep, we're here to fix that. That's our job. So we just need to get through. And sometimes they'll just let them on through. Not realizing that they're just nobody, but it's the confidence behind it that allowed them to do that. So sometimes you just got to fake the funk and try to be confident. Think about it like acting or performing. Think about how people that you idolize, either in movies or in person, how they act and how they move and how they talk to people when you give that kind of confidence, and try to mimic that. When you receive that acceptance of your confidence, when you start to get treated differently, and then it starts to make you feel different, and then you start to feel confident, then it becomes your own, and then eventually that cycle continues. And that's a good way to start helping with that confidence. This is a thin line, though, I want to say, of kind of going from confident to cocky. So you have to be careful. So that brings me to my fourth tip. Stay humble, okay? And I know that sounds kind of contradictory, but here's the deal. Confidence is a slippery slope to cockiness. Cockiness, nobody really likes, unless you're a little cocky and a little funny, but then that just comes off confident and humorous. But when you're just cocky, you come off cross like a real asshole, and you're just not, nobody likes that, and that's not appealing. And so you got to be careful, because it's easy to fall into that, especially with tip number 3 that I gave you. When you start going the mentality, I'm God's gift to women, well then guess what? You're not really. And it's easy to fall in that slope, and you just become this cocky person. And then if you get bashed on that a few times, sometimes you can slip right back into not being confident again. So one of the big things is just, staying humble too. Acknowledging the things that you do well is nothing wrong in that. That's a hard lesson I had to learn for myself, is just being proud of the things that you do well. I do very good at my job, and I've gotten to a point that I'm very confident with what I do, that I can talk on it, or that I can, let other people know, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm still open to learn. I'm still open to things, but I'm very confident in my work and what I do. But being confident, I also realize that I'm not perfect, and I'll make mistakes, and there's things that I don't do well. So I have to be aware of those things too, and just realize that I'm a person just like anybody else. So being confident and proud of my accomplishments and the things I know I can do well is great, but also just being humble with those things. I do not need to go and shout from the mountains that, hey, I'm really great at this or that. Like, no, nobody cares, man. But if somebody were to ask me about what I do, then I'd like to do this and this and this, and I'm confident about the subject matter. If people come into my home and see all my awards, they ask about it, but I don't mention it. I don't come and say, look at all my awards and look at everything that I've done. That's cockiness, and that's not cool. Finding the balance of being proud and being humble, finding that nice middle ground is the key to confidence. Matter of fact, I think I would say confidence is that balance between humility and pride. And that's what I would call confidence. And I think that's a good way to see it. Oh, my hood fell. Let's get that back up. Woo. Because that brings me to number 5. Stop caring about what other people think. And this is probably the most important role of all of them. And that's because, the reason people's confidence get lowered is 9 times out of 10 nothing to do with them themselves. It's because they prioritize what other people think about them. That gets into their head, and then they start to self-doubt. Because at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter. I actually started reading this book. This book, I just got started in it. I'm actually going to be reading more of it this week. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This is by Mark Manson. It's already a great book. I got recommended this book, and I'm going to tell you right now, this book is fantastic. And the reason I like this book is, one, because he talks like me, man. He's just really real. He's kind of blunt, but he makes a lot of sense. And he thinks the way that I already think. Now, there's a lot of things that I've been learning, which is great. But at the end of the day, it's been really interesting, because there's things that I already do that I didn't really know that I was doing. And to see them, it makes me more aware. And I think it's great. But basically, as far as I've read, the idea of it is not, to stop giving a fuck about everything. Like, there's things you got to care about, but starting to be more selective about what you care about. We care too much about what everyone thinks and what everyone's doing and all of this and all that of course it causes anxiety. Of course it causes a lack of confidence, because we care about everyone and what everyone thinks. But it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It only matters what you think first off, and then maybe people that you consider very close or that you respect their opinion. I probably can count on one hand the people that I care enough about their opinion to worry about what they think about me. And one of those people passed this year. So I don't care, man. I don't care what other people think. This is part of the reason why I threw this on today, because guess what? There's probably going to be people blasting me in the comments going, oh, what is that he wearing? Oh, why he got a little taco meat coming out? Oh, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I really don't care, because they're not changing my life. They're not doing anything. I mean, they're not paying my bills. They're not with me in a relationship. And so they're not my boss. So I don't care. And even then, like, I care what my boss thinks. One, because I do respect him as a person, but 2, because he's the one who can give me my job or take it. That being said, what I do outside of work, it doesn't matter, because I care about his judgment when I'm doing my job. My brothers, I care very much about them. I do care. Like, I care enough about their opinion that I know they'll put me in check when I'm being stupid or whatever. But at the same time, as far as what I'm doing with my life, I care what I do with my life to make me happy, not for them. Now, thankfully, I have a super supporting family and they're super amazing. So, don't get me wrong. But that being said, what's important is what I think about my own life and what I think about myself. But again, those are the few people that I really care about and then my mom, but she passed. So now I just I don't care. and the reason is because you're not going to please everybody. You're not going to please everybody. I saw this quote and I have no clue who this quote is from. So, write in the comments, let me know. But it said, you can be the sweetest peach in the world, but there's still going to be people who don't like peaches. And it's so true. You could be the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, Brad Pitt, he's known as one of the handsomest men in the world, but there are some people who don't find Brad Pitt attractive. It happens, man. And so that's the thing. If you start caring about what other people think, it's going to destroy your confidence. Have fun with your life. Make sure you're happy, because guess what? That happiness will attract other people. That positivity will attract the people that you want. And are people going to hate on that? Sure. But who cares? Most people are only hating because they're miserable themselves, and misery loves company. If they can get under your skin, then they're going to continue to do it. But if you just don't care, man, then it doesn't matter. So, those are my tips for you guys. Gaining the confidence, it can be from just faking it until you make it, or, working on those weaknesses that are bringing it down. But keeping the confidence is just reminding yourself who you are, being self-aware, and keeping your strengths. And then also just not caring about what other people think about you, man. Enjoy life. Have fun with it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I have a lot of fun in this flying squirrel suit onesie. How's your elbow? That sounds like it.
Got the best angle. Hold on. All right.
And I don't care, man. At the end of the day, everyone around you is going to be doing their own thing. The only person you can't get away from is yourself. So you have to be happy with yourself. So do what makes you happy. Have fun with life. Enjoy it, because you only get one, man. You only get one. It's not a practice round. If I've helped you in any way and maybe given any more advice, or if you had advice of your own, what makes you feel confident, make sure you put it down in those comment sections. Again, remember, if you haven't yet, shoot me some more messages on Facebook, and also just put them in the comments what questions you guys have of me, advice for life, personal questions about me and my life. If you want to get nosy, let's get weird. I almost have enough where I can do a little Q&A, and we'll pull stuff out of a hat and we're going to answer them then. Again, this was one that was super good that I wanted to make sure that I actually talked about. Yeah, keep the confidence up, man. Keep the confidence up. Just remember, man, you're awesome. You're awesome. Find out what makes you awesome. So that being said, man, I thank you guys again for having a great time with me. Another Real Talk Tuesday down in the books. This is my 11th episode, which is crazy because I didn't even think I'd be doing one, but I'm finally started. It's been going great. So I definitely want to do something kind of cool when I hit 100 subscribers. So we're almost there. So start making sure you're sharing with your friends and hitting those subscribe buttons. So thank you guys very much, and make sure you live life and live it awesome, because as you guys know, life's short. Make it epic. That's a wrap.